This is the Ferrari F2004, the F1 car that famously helped Michael Schumacher achieve his record-breaking 7th World Championship. This car was absolutely dominant in 2004, winning 15 of the 18 races that season and boasting 12 pole positions. Ferrari and Schumacher absolutely wiped the floor with the competition this season, and there's no question that the Ferrari F2004 is one of the most dominant F1 cars of all time. So I've been wondering, how fast would the F2004 be around one of the most demanding tracks in the world, the Nordschleife? The Nordschleife is demanding due to its narrow track width, changes in elevation, multiple blind corners, harsh curbs, bumpy track surface, and much more. F1 famously raced here back in the 70s, but it was deemed unsafe after Niki Lauda's near-fatal accident. Nowadays, the Nordschleife is home to multiple classes of racing, and it remains incredibly challenging. So if the Ferrari F2004 were to lap around the Nordschleife, how fast would it be? Would it be too much to handle? Alright, we're in the Ferrari F2004 now and ready to leave the pits for the first flying lap. Obviously this track is very difficult, so I might need a little bit of time to warm up. I think I need to get a little bit more familiar with the track. This is the Alfa Romeo 155 V6 Ti, a 90s legend that won the Italian Super Turismo and DTM championships. The Alfa had a naturally aspirated V6 engine producing 420 horsepower, and it famously rivaled the ultra-competitive Mercedes C-Class DTM. These cars produced some of the most electrifying racing in the 90s, and DTM was an absolutely insane category at the time. The Alfa 155 is obviously going to be a little bit slower than the F2004, so this should give me an easier lap time around the Nordschleife, and therefore an easier time learning the track. Alright, on track now in the Alfa Romeo and already feeling a lot more comfortable with the track. The Nordschleife doesn't have many visible reference points for braking, and obviously it changes with every car. So the way I'm learning the track is by memorizing the ideal racing line through each corner, rather than the braking points. The F2004 is going to be able to brake much later than the Alfa Romeo, so memorizing the braking points is kind of a waste. However, if I know the correct line through each corner, I can generally judge my braking to be in the correct place. The Alfa performs really well around here and it feels super stable. However, the biggest difference when we get to the Ferrari is going to be overall speed and downforce. There's going to be a lot of corners where the Alfa has to brake hard, but the F2004 can take flat out, so it's definitely going to be a big adjustment. Additionally, no traction control or ABS on the Ferrari might prove to be a little bit challenging, as the track is insanely bumpy and stability can be an issue. Anyway, I'm feeling more up to speed with the track now, so I think it's time to test out the F2004. Alright, we made our way out of the pits and around the track, so this is our first flying lap. I'm going to put a timer in the top section of the screen so we can see the overall time of the lap into this first left-hander, and this corner is actually quite deceiving. It's really difficult to spot where to be braking. Obviously, the brakes on the F2004 are night and day compared to the Alfa Romeo. They're so big, it feels like you can stop this car on a dime. It's absolutely crazy. Through this twisty left-right kind of fast chicane right there, very difficult to find grip. It's really easy to lose stability. Again, right here, braking is very difficult. You can't really tell how hard you should be braking through this corner as well. Very easy to run off into the grass on the left-hand side there. But that's the first difficult section of the track behind us, which is definitely very nice to get through without any incidents. Onto this straight now. This corner, I believe, can be taken flat out. Unfortunately, losing a little bit of confidence. You can see getting very shaky on the steering input right there. But next time around, I think we can probably take that flat. I'm also going to point out places where I think I can gain time on the next lap. That was definitely one of them. But into this upcoming right-hander. But this is one of the easiest corners of the entire lap. It's completely laid out for you. It's very easy to judge where to be braking because it's so open. So I definitely like that corner a lot. Flying through this downhill section now into 7th gear, absolutely ripping down the hill. The next corner is very difficult to judge. The braking zone is pretty much blind. Right here is a slight tap of the brakes, and then into here is a much heavier input on the brakes. Unfortunately, missing that apex on the left, but tightening it up on the right-hand side. Avoiding that exit curb on the left-hand side as well. The curbs around here are very steep, so they're really, really harsh. And some of them are okay to use on exit, but something like that is just such a steep angle that it's pretty much guaranteed to make you lose stability. So using the exit curb right there, pretty much just going against what I just said. But yeah, some of the curbs are okay, and some of them are very difficult. But absolutely flying through these corners, pretty much flat on every single one. Maybe a lift of the throttle, but pretty much full confidence into these corners. It's astounding how fast the F2004 is. Into the braking zone right here. This is a very difficult one to judge, a downhill braking zone. Braking too late is pretty much an instant smack into the wall, so luckily getting through there without any issues. Unfortunately, completely misjudging the braking point and the line through this corner. Can definitely make up some time through there on the next lap. That was an atrocious line through that corner. On this small straight now, we have a sweeping uphill right-hander coming up. It's probably not possible to take flat, so we're going to have to downshift a couple times, stick to the inside, hit the apex. We're going wide, we hit the curbs, and we hit the wall. And that's just a misjudged line for me, so that's our first lap over with. Alright, on lap 2 now, second time's the charm. Hopefully we can get a good run through the first section of corners and make up some time in those corners that we did pretty poorly on during the last lap. Okay, into the first left-hander. Again, this is a very difficult braking zone to judge. There's not a lot of reference points, and especially in cockpit view, it's kind of blind when you're going downhill into a braking zone. So luckily we can make it through there, no problem. Slightly tapping the brakes with this quick left and right-hander. The line through there was really good. I'm feeling very good about this section of the lap so far. These corners are a little bit tricky. It can be a little difficult to judge where the ideal racing line is, and if you brake a little too late or put the power down a little too early, you can just completely hop the curbs and fly off the track and into the wall. So luckily we did not do that, and we've made it through that first section pretty much scot-free. So into this right-hander now, a lot more confidence this time around. Last time we were a little shaky on the steering input, wasn't really sure if I could take it flat or not, but this time we make that corner stick completely flat out. So I have a little bit of a break right here. The next corners are not really too challenging. Again, like I said, this one is probably one of my favorite corners of the lap. It's all laid out for you. Braking is super easy to judge there, so really good line through there. And again, right here, completely flat out, absolutely flying down the hill, and there's not really anything too challenging about this section of the track. Right here is where it gets a little bit difficult though. Pretty much completely blind into the braking zone, really nailing it through there. This time a little bit of a kick of oversteer, maybe a little bit too aggressive on the throttle. Using the exit curb this time around, that's very risky. Last time I was explaining, the exit curbs are very scary on the Nordschleife, so luckily no issue on the exit. This corner we're going to have to brake a lot harder than it looks. Again, this looks completely flat. It's a little difficult to judge the braking zone without too many reference points. A lot of oversteer mid-corner right there. I think I downshifted one too many gears and it kind of kicked out the rear end. So already making a few mistakes on this lap, which is not ideal. Hopefully we can kind of pull it together a little bit more. Completely flat through most of these corners right here. Into this braking zone. Again, this is a very difficult one to judge, but we make it through without any issues. Onto the straight now, and this car is absolutely planted. It's completely crazy. Last time around, we had a really bad line through here. Again, a very, very bad line through there. Oversteering completely wide. I think the same problem right there. Downshifting one too many gears, and it kind of kicks out the rear end. So that's definitely something we have to be wary of. I think maybe I'm used to having 8 gears in an F1 car and not 7. So that could be, maybe that could be part of the problem. But again, flat through all these corners. This car is completely insane. I mean, it's so fast. It's on the onboard view, it's difficult to see everything that's coming up. On the straights, it's a little bit easier, but everything goes by so quickly. You need to be laser focused in order to drive this properly. So I could probably do like 1,000 laps on the Nordschleife and not get one single perfect lap. I'll have good ones and bad ones, but I don't think I'll ever get a perfect lap on the Nordschleife in a car this fast. It's just so hard to keep up with everything. But approaching one of the most famous corners on the lap, the carousel. This is a pretty easy braking zone right here. Unfortunately, the line wasn't really perfect. I probably could have been positioned more to the left-hand side of the track. But here we are at the carousel, and we're not going to do it properly whatsoever. We're using the outside section of this banked turn. The inside section is probably a little bit faster, but unfortunately, this car is so low that every time you go on that banked gray section of the track, it just kicks you out wide and you lose all stability. So unfortunately not able to do that corner properly, but that's just what the game likes and doesn't like. The car is not really suited for it in this game at least. But flying through these corners now, this upcoming section is very fun. It's a little bit tricky. The corners can be quite deceiving. So that corner is taken mostly flat, probably have to lift a little bit, and these ones are a little bit harsher than you think. The angle is a little bit more than it actually looks when you're facing it on this downhill section of the track. So it's a little bit difficult to judge the line to be perfect through here, and that translates to braking. It's not really easy to know if it should be taken flat out, if there should be a lift, if there should be a slight tap of the brakes, any downshifts, anything like that. So that section of the track is a little bit tricky. Right here, probably mostly flat, a little bit of a lift through there. And you can see that unfortunately my lines to the last couple of corners have not been close to perfect whatsoever. I'm kind of sticking towards the middle of the track. It's not the fastest way through the track, but it's definitely the most comfortable, so I'm kind of doing that subconsciously just to make sure I know where I'm going for the next corner. Another banked left-hander, again, not using the proper section of the track to go on that bank turn. Again, it'll just completely destabilize this car because it's so low. So kind of annoying we can't do it the cool, proper way, but that's just how it has to be. Absolutely flooring it through these corners and onto this final straight now, and that's pretty much the lap over with. Now we just have a little bit of a heavy braking zone into these last few corners, and we'll be crossing the line, and we'll have to see how fast this lap is. There were a couple of mistakes here and there, a couple bouts of oversteer, downshifting a little bit too early, kicking out the rear end. Unfortunately, at that last section of the lap, just not having the perfect lines, not hitting the apex, not a perfect outside, inside, outside line, and sticking towards the middle of the track. But overall, I felt pretty confident around this lap. Really big kick of oversteer right there, definitely losing some time on this last section, but honestly, whatever, we made it, and that was our final lap. Here's the lap time on the screen right now. Obviously, it could have been faster. I'm imagining if I took maybe 20 more laps to just perfect everything about this track, I would imagine I could shave off at least 10 or 15 seconds just from the fact that I was, not having the perfect lines. Maybe braking wasn't exactly the way it should be. But overall, this car is absolutely insane around the Nordschleife. It's so fast, and it's almost too fast to drive on this track. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see anything more like this, please leave a comment in the comment section or in my Discord, which is linked in the description. So if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.